$500,000 of TVL. That puts us in about third position in terms of TVL Bitcoin locked up. We've got over 70 validators validating the data that the XSAT miners, that the Bitcoin miners are synchronizing on the network. We've got a little over 50% of the hash rate. We've got about 20 or so different partnerships that we've announced, and over the course of the next 14 minutes, I'll be announcing a few more because we've got a few big announcements here today. So I'll take you through what's happened since last year, what we've done. We've launched the network, we've done a bunch of partnerships, and we've launched applications. So what we've seen over the course of time is that there are periods in history where there are monumental shifts that happen. And I believe that at this stage with Bitcoin, what launched and what started 16 years ago was another one of those revolutionary shifts. And we're at a stage where capital, assets, property are being enacted, they're being leveraged in ways that previously were not possible. Barriers are being lowered. Capital is now more global. Our assets don't have any boundaries. That's what Bitcoin brings about. But we're still very early on where we're quite limited in what we can do. And this is where XSAT comes in. Right now, since the Bitcoin ETFs came in, we've seen a huge inflow of capital coming into the markets. But one of the issues still remains, how do you make it liquid? How can you put your capital to work? What could you do with it? Institutions, when we launched last year, institutions were coming to us and they were saying, we now have Bitcoin on our balance sheets and we've made that public, but we still can't really do anything with it. We're used to using our capital to generate extra yield. We're used to using our capital to collateralize it, to take out further loans. And we're not able to do this in this ecosystem yet because the solutions just aren't there. But the time is ready, the tech is there, and we're here to bring that to market. And so we've introduced XSAT banking solutions. And we also introduced XSAT on the Vaulta network. Vaulta was launched. The ticker is now live. It's tradable. If you go on Binance, go on OKX, all of the major exchanges, it's listed on over 200 exchanges. It's a deep liquid market, about $1 billion worth of assets right now. Deep liquidity, $200 to $400 million in trading volume. And that's really at the core of where XSAT lives. So that's that data availability layer within RAM that's tokenized on the Vaulta network. But XSAT is Vaulta, Vaulta is XSAT. It's one ecosystem. And the idea is to be here to be able to help scale Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoiner at heart. My Bitcoin stays on the Bitcoin network. But if I want to leverage it, I want to be able to leverage it somewhere that I feel safe, where I can transfer some funds, and the consensus mechanism allows to replicate as close as possible that robustness, that security that Bitcoin network provides. And so this is really at the core of what we've done with XSAT. But at the same time, we want to make sure that developers, application providers, institutions, retail users have a mechanism to be able to deploy more applications, open up more functions, more features, more use cases. And so we've gone the EVM route. So we've leveraged what we saw in the industry was somewhat of a standard in terms of being able to open to DeFi applications, the majority of the developers in this space. But we've built it upon a layer that's secure, that's reliable, that's been running for 6 years with literally zero downtime. And that was only possible because we have that underlying asset. Because the infrastructure providers are already economically incentivized to be able to provide this. Because running and indexing 126 gigs of data in a decentralized fashion is extremely expensive. It's really not economically possible. But we were able to do so because we leveraged Vaulta, an existing network that already had infrastructure providers, that was already listed, that already had incentive mechanisms for infrastructure providers in the back end. Let me get into a little bit more detail in terms of what our product offerings are and what we're announcing today. So at the core, the XSAT banking solutions have 4 different pillars. And these are all informed based on discussions we've had with institutions and with stakeholders all around the globe as we've been building this out over the last multiple years. Our first pillar is that of wealth management. When you and I go to the bank and we try to get access to financial services as retail users, maybe we get access to a bank account, checking, saving, credit card, Maybe you're able to collateralize some of your assets to take out a loan for a car, maybe get a mortgage. But when you're an institution or you're a private banking client, you have access to way more services. But there's a minimum cutoff there. You need a certain level of capital to be able to access those services. And what we're trying to do with XAT Banking Solutions is to democratize access to those financial solutions down to retail users, leveraging the power of blockchain technologies, lowering the barrier to entry, cutting out the middlemen, making sure that those who were not included in our current financial systems can now be included, banking the unbanked. Kind of going back to that true dream that Bitcoin was, all in a secure, transparent, and performant manner. Within that wealth management pillar, we've got two partners, one that we're announcing today, Standard Chartered, and we also have SEFA. And so part of the idea here is that you're able to stake your assets on-chain, earn yield on-chain, whether it be Bitcoin. Right now we're offering 1.5% yield on the Bitcoin, or through XAT tokens, or through the Vaulta token. You're able to stake your assets on-chain within a custodian, in this case SEFA or Standard Chartered. Those assets are then mirrored onto Binance or OKX, and then they can go at work. You can run delta-neutral quant strategies, for example. If your risk profile is more conservative, maybe that's the angle that you want to take. Over time, we'll have multiple different risk profiles, and you'll be able to create your portfolio whereby you could choose from very conservative to very aggressive. You could make your own basket so that your funds are on-chain, they're safe, but they're being mirrored onto a centralized platform through a CDFI product so that they can go to work further. And so we're announcing Standard Chartered partnership today alongside OKX. That's one of our announcements. Another thing that we've heard that is quite standard or quite common with regular assets is that of collateralization. If you go to the bank right now, you've got $100 in your bank account, but you've got 100 Bitcoin within your wallets, and you ask for a loan, the bank is going to reject. You only have $100. Can't collateralize that. Can't take out a loan or mortgage against that. Yes, but I've got 100 Bitcoin here. Doesn't matter. Doesn't count. But now that institutions are coming in, they're asking for those products because they're used to getting those products. So imagine a world where you can collateralize your Bitcoin, where you can take out a loan against it, where maybe your Bitcoin is actually being staked on chain, it's earning yield, and you can take out a loan on that future yield that you're going to get, which then even further, I guess, minimizes the tax implications, because as we all know, that is not taxable. You can do that right now with stock. You can do it with regular assets. Can't really do it with Bitcoin. That's another product that we're working on. We want to make sure that you can put your digital assets at work, that you can collateralize them, that you can take out a loan against them. And this is where the consumer payments come in as well. That's our second pillar. We're also proud to launch XAT Pay. XAT Pay is a Visa credit card that you can reload with USDT, USDC, and USD1. You're able to load up either from your bank account to bank account, create an IBAN number, or I believe in the States it's a BIN number, so that you can transfer from your regular bank account to that, load up your credit card, or you can go the on-chain route and load it through stable coins. And then you can go at your proof of purchase, you can go buy your coffee, you can go to the restaurant, and you can spend that. But what if you can also leverage it whereby the assets that are generating yield on-chain, we know roughly how much you're going to generate. You take out a loan against that, you're able to spend that all while not touching your digital assets, and you consolidate every couple of months. So this is where XAT Pay comes in. Another partnership that we announced not too long ago is remittances within the consumer payment space, and that's with Virgo Pay. We've noticed that there are a lot of foreign workers sending capital back home. Stable coins are made for this. Cheaper, more transparent, faster. And this is where Virgo Pay comes in. One of the biggest announcements that we're making here today that just got released this morning is in our third bucket, asset management, tokenization of assets. We've just created a partnership with Fosun International. For those who are Chinese, Huxin. This is a large Chinese conglomerate based in Hong Kong that manages over $100 billion worth of assets per year, and they've chosen the XSAT network as their technological solution to be able to leverage the licenses that they have, bring a lot of the assets that they have, whether they be securities or commodities or any other assets, to be able to digitize them, leveraging the XSAT network. For us, that's really big because it gives a blueprint of what other institutions like Fuxin could do, like Fosun can do, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for more North American partners to be able to replicate that model and bring about more tokenization of assets on-chain. Another partner that we have is Ultra. We see a space where gaming is going to be a huge contributor to tokenized assets, and so we've partnered with the Ultra blockchain, and this becomes our gaming hub on the Vaulta network, so that if you have tokenized assets within game, you're able to do so within the Ultra network. And finally, our fourth pillar is that of insurance. One of the big things that we've heard over the years is that it's very difficult for newcomers within this space to be able to get access to their traditional financial services because they're not insured. And it's incredibly difficult for them to get traditional insurance, D&O insurance, cybersecurity insurance, because the insurance industry still does not understand our space. And so either they refuse to insure or they charge extremely high premiums. So I'm also really happy to announce that we're launching Blockchain Insurance Inc., the world's first digital assets captive insurance, fully backed by government, in order to ensure that people within our space have access to insurance so that they can actually create products, they can create companies, and we can innovate further within this space. As I mentioned earlier, we've got the Standard Chartered announcement that we made, and so you'll be able to replicate your assets from the OKX network on, or you'll be able to leverage your assets on the OKX centralized exchange while they're being custodied by Standard Chartered. We also have Fosun, like I mentioned, this big conglomerate that's going to be leveraging XSAT network in order to be able to tokenize their assets. This is a really big one because it sets the stage for this architectural blueprint of what others like them, large institutions, can do. Everything we will make will be open source so that people can see, so that you'll be able to leverage your licenses within your jurisdiction, leveraging the products that we make kind of as building blocks. Everything that we do, we will either do in-house so that everybody can see how to do it with the licenses that we possess. And over time, you'll be able to replicate that within your own jurisdictions, because we believe that at some point, all of these products will be localized within their own jurisdictions. And this is the trend that we see going. So we want to make sure that we build the building blocks so that everybody can leverage that. XSAT Pay. This morning, I went to pay my coffee with XSAT Pay. Credit card, I loaded up in my digital wallet on my phone, tap, and boom, it took out my stable coins on the other end, all running on-chain, all on the XSAT network. And as I mentioned, that insurance product, that come and closes the gap that we've seen over the years to close that Web3 banking experience that we're trying to create, this ecosystem to be able to put your assets at work. And finally, one more announcement. Vaulta is proud to announce, and XSAT is proud to announce, that OKX Wallet is going to be integrated within our networks, giving access to a further 50 million users that they have, so that people will be able to put their assets at work, start generating yield, leverage the applications that we have on chain, all while remaining safe and secure. I'm a Bitcoiner at heart. I imagine most of you are. I really hope that you enjoyed this presentation. Please come and visit us at our booth. We've got the XSAT Village, the Genesis stage is ours, and right to the left, right behind here, we've got our team, happy to answer any questions you may have. If you're an institution looking for a technological partner, please come visit us. We'd be happy to work with you. See you later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yves. So many announcements on this stage. You guys truly have been in for a treat. And I really do enjoy hearing about how simple we are making everything for the end user. It was always